Back to another episode, and thank you for tuning in. Last month I went over practical tips on redemptive suffering. You can check that one out if you haven't already. This month I'm going to be a little more casual, just answering your questions, top questions from last week. Specifically, I'm going to answer questions on signs I've received from Jessica, dreams I've had with Jessica, and how am I really doing. Before I go into that, just a couple things. I hope you guys are enjoying the increased amount of content on the Instagram channel. If you haven't noticed, since the new year, as promised, there are a lot more repurposed clips of Jessica's content. There's a lot more where that came from, so stay tuned and keep an eye on the Instagram. A lot of people are benefiting from these clips, as am I. And in addition to that, the YouTube channel has more activity now too. If you haven't subscribed already, it's called Blessed by Jess Hanna. Search Blessed by Jess Hanna on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification button, and you'll see all the new videos that are coming out. The full versions of some of these interviews that she did and videos that she did and lives that she did are all going to be on there, organized on the playlist. We're just going to slowly launch that over time. So stay tuned for that too. So a lot of exciting things happening on this channel and on the YouTube channel. But without further ado, I'm going to go right into the questions. First one is signs. So actually in the last like couple months, I've had a lot of signs from Jessica. But the most recent and obvious one, I have to share this one because this is one of those things that it's undeniable. So it was about a month ago, maybe. Yeah, about a month ago. My kids and I were staying at Jessica's sister's and my brother-in-law's house. We spent the night there. And when we get there, I've been there more than a few times, and we've spent the night. And, depending on how I'm feeling, most of the time it's been okay. Like, it is tough, going into familiar surroundings that I used to go to with Jessica sometimes, but for the most part, I've been okay. But this last visit, for whatever reason, was very difficult. I was really missing her a lot. And I was struggling just to be present with my in-laws and just be present for the kids, because I just couldn't shake that feeling of sadness. And anybody who is grieving can understand that. So that particular night, it was a cold winter night in January, and I went to bed. And but I couldn't sleep. It was about midnight, and I was tossing and turning, and I was just so sad. And I remember even thinking and even praying to Jessica and saying, like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get through all these things, when I just get hit with this sadness? And I was feeling kind of defeated, to be honest. And then all of a sudden, power goes out. Power goes out, and for about 5 minutes, and I was just like, okay, whatever, power's going to be out. I just made sure my phone had enough charge in it, and then I was turning around, ready to fall asleep. 5 minutes after the power went out, all of a sudden I see this pink light in my room. And I'm like, why is it pink? I'm turned one way. I turn the other way, and I see that "Don't Quit" neon pink sign that I posted on February 5th. It says, "Don't quit." That sign is a neon sign that was in that room that I was sleeping, the spare bedroom. It was plugged in, but the switch was off when obviously when I went to sleep. Somehow when the power came back on, it turned on without the switch having been touched. So basically, the power outage happened, and then I wake up to "Don't quit." So I was a little groggy, but it took me a minute, and I was like, that's got to be Jessica telling me not to quit. Because what are the odds of that? How did this thing turn on without the button being pressed? I mean, yes, it was plugged in, but it was an off switch, right? So somehow it turned on. So I thought that was a loud and clear message from Jessica. I took a picture of that "Don't Quit" sign, and I posted it. And as promised, that's the story behind it. So that's probably the most inexplicably clear sign from Jessica for me and for all of you guys to not quit. That's why I shared that post in particular, because I felt like almost Jessica was trying to tell me not to quit, but also tell a lot of you guys not to quit. Because the DMs that I get, there are a lot of people just going through many tough things, and I try to send that message myself to people when I speak to them is times are hard. You know, suffering is difficult. It's not a linear cycle. Usually it's up and down, and I'll go into that a little later when talking about how I'm doing. But I just thought that was crazy. And then also my sister-in-law, Jessica's sister, checked power outages in the area, and there was no power outages in the area. Just a random 5-minute power outage that happened that night at that particular time. So there's been other signs too, but that was the most clear and obvious one. And I just smirk and I smile when I think back at that. I'm so grateful that God allows these things just to give me that little push. And I know not everybody gets these signs. And I think they talked about this before in a previous video. Like, I don't look for these things, but they just come, you know, and they seem to come at the right time. So that was pretty awesome. And then dreams. A lot of people ask me, tell me about your dreams about Jessica. How many dreams have you had about Jessica? Are you still dreaming about Jessica? So the answer is yes, I do get dreams of Jessica. I've had a lot of dreams actually in the last few weeks. There was a recent dream. The most recent dream I had was me and Jessica at the park with the kids. We were having a great time. She was very happy. And there was an infant she was holding in her hand. I'm not sure why. On a park bench. Another one was, this was months ago. It was, I was in the kitchen, and she just like rang the doorbell, and she was like, "Hey," and then she was just like chatting with me. And then there was I think probably my most fond dream I had was I think it was about October, maybe around the wedding anniversary. We were out on a date. We were out on a nice dinner date. She was dressed up, and we were having a good time at this dinner. And I remember just feeling I was enjoying my dinner with her so much, and it just get like that. It was almost like just all the memories of all the dinners we ever had in this dream. And I remember just thinking in the dream, like, I don't want this to end, you know. And then, of course, at the end of the dream, we were in this parking structure, and I was like walking her to her car, which is obviously strange because it was like she was going to her car ready to leave. And I remember just being sad that she was going to leave. And I remember telling her, like, I don't want you to leave. And then she said, I have to go. I have to leave. And I remember thinking, like, where are you going, you know? But I didn't really ask her that. But I remember in the dream thinking, like, where's she going? Why is she leaving? And then she left. And then I woke up, that dream in particular, I woke up crying. But it was, when I wake up from these dreams, it's like this sudden, like, jolt of, like, reality. Like, you know, when you're in the dream, it's such a good feeling. And then you wake up and you get hit with that reality that she's not here. But the common theme with all these dreams is, in every single one of the dreams I just mentioned, I want to just share with her so much of what's going on. Like, I want to update her. Like, oh my goodness, Jessica, you have no idea what's been going on with this and with this and with this. And, you know, when you're going through this grieving process, a lot of people have been telling me, like, leading up to the 1-year anniversary, you really feel like they're going to come back any moment. Like, they're on this extended vacation, and then it hits you that they're not coming back. And I think that's the phase I'm in right now. I'm getting hit with that reality that she's not coming back, and it's very difficult. So that transitions me into the final question. So I had like maybe 5 different people ask me, how are you really doing, with really, like, in all caps. And so obviously, I mean, on this channel, I try to motivate people. I try to use my suffering for good to help people, but obviously there's reality too. So I'm going to share how I'm really doing right here, so you guys can know how I'm really doing. So I guess in one word, I guess you could say I'm tired. I'm very tired, like mentally, physically, emotionally. I think I'm still recovering from Christmas. Christmas was the toughest time. I think in this whole journey, Christmas was top 3 tough times. Christmas, Mother's Day, and probably the month of May were just tough times. But the thing about Christmas was, it was not only spiritually and mentally exhausting, it was also physically exhausting. What happened was, after Christmas, I had a bunch of new projects hit the ground running with work and with businesses, and it just I've been so, like, spread thin, so tired. But also beyond that, I still cry a lot. I do. I don't make a public spectacle of it. Most of the time when I do it, it's at church, it's at mass. I mean, the kids have seen me a lot. A lot of times when I'm driving, it hits me when I have drives. I just think of memories, and it just hits me. When you least expect it, too, it'll hit you. And anybody who's grieving knows this. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about the intense suffering and traumatic events from a year ago around this time. Around this time, maybe she was having heart surgery. She had that heart problem and the heart surgery, and that's when really things were tough. She lost a lot of weight. She was really hit with despair, and it was this heavy feeling on all of us. And I just remember that just being such a hard time for her, and thinking of back to how much she was suffering at that time. Really, it gets me just so sad for what she went through. Also, like I said before, I'm getting an overwhelming feeling of like, I just want to share all this with her. I want to share all the good things that are happening. There are good things happening in my life, in the kids, the milestones that the kids hit, new projects that I'm doing, even this Blessed by Cancer page. Like, I just want to so badly tell her, look at what's happening. And I just want to share it with her, but I can't. That's one of the biggest sufferings, is that I can't share my life with her anymore. She is a part of me was lost when she left this earthly life. But at the same time, I have a part of her. And so no matter what happens in my life, I'll always have a part of her with me, and that's a huge grace for me and a blessing. Also, one of the sufferings that I go through is my future. Obviously I could plan whatever I could plan and control, but there's so many unknowns in my future right now. And that's a big part of it, ties into how I'm feeling. And I try not to. The temptation is to overthink and maybe worry about the future, but I've gotten used to almost the uncertainty of my future. I'm almost gotten used to it, and it's an exercise in patience. Ultimately, that's what it is. God will give us. What I've come to realize is God will give us what we need when we need it. In the meantime, if you're going through a season of suffering, as I am right now, and you accept it like I talked about in the last video, there are many fruits that can come from this. You just won't see those fruits right away. When a tree is planted, when you plant an apple tree, for example, it doesn't just grow apples the next day. It takes time. So there are a lot of spiritual fruits within me, within my children, within you guys, and a lot of family members and friends that I see, spiritual fruits that came from these events. But God will bear those will bear fruit in God's time, and that's something I've learned to accept. And I encourage everybody who's going through tough times right now and wondering why, just know that if you're doing God's will, there are fruits that they will bear fruit either in this life or the next. You just got to hang in there. So again, I feel like God is preparing my soul for something. What it is, I don't know, but it's not for me to know right now. Right now it's just for me to accept my state in life and take everything just day by day. It's again just a big exercise in patience. So that's pretty much how I'm feeling. I say with all that said, there still are incredible graces that happen in my life that are inexplicable. I still get those signs. I still get those dreams. Like I said, I feel Jessica's presence heavily lately, and it's both a help, but also it makes me sad. With all that said, I have faith God is working. He's working, and I have to humble myself and allow him to work through me. That's all. So thank you again for tuning in, guys. I'm going to keep doing my monthly videos here. I'm going to keep posting. Feel free to reach out if anybody needs help. God bless, and we'll see you guys next month.